All right, let's dive in. We've got about 5 minutes to unpack a country that's so huge, it's basically its own continent. We're talking about Brazil. So when I say Brazil, what pops into your head? I'm guessing it's stuff like this, right? Football, carnival, the Amazon rainforest. And look, you're not wrong. Those things are absolutely iconic. But they're really just the cover of a much, much bigger book. Because to really get what Brazil is all about, you have to start with its sheer size. I mean, we're talking about the fifth largest country in the entire world. It takes up almost half of South America. That scale, that massive footprint, it's the key that unlocks everything else.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it down. We'll go beyond the stereotypes, dive into its history, check out its incredible people and nature, look at its economy, and finish up with the big challenges it's facing right now.
All right, first up, history. You really can't understand the Brazil of today without looking at how this giant came to be. It's a pretty wild story of colonies, empires, and a long, bumpy road to becoming the country we know.
I mean, look at this timeline. It's like 500 years of history in a nutshell. The Portuguese show up in 1500. It takes more than 3 centuries before Brazil says we're on our own and becomes an empire. Then you hit the late 1800s and things happen fast. Slavery is finally abolished in 1888, and then boom, just 1 year later, the monarchy is gone and it's a republic. It all culminates in 1988 with the democratic constitution they still use today. What a journey. And you know, we absolutely have to talk about this. It's a really tough but crucial part of the story. Brazil received more enslaved Africans than any other country in the Americas. We're talking about almost 5 million people. That history isn't just in the past, it's baked into the DNA of the country today. It shapes everything, the culture, the music, and of course, the deep social challenges that are still being dealt with. Okay, so that history directly leads us to the Brazil we see now. Because of its geography and all those waves of people coming together, you end up with this incredible diversity, not just in the people, but in nature itself. And this chart really shows you what that looks like. It's fascinating. According to their latest census, there's no single ethnic majority. The biggest group, at over 45%, identifies as Pardo, which means mixed race. It's like a living testament to that blend of European, African, and indigenous roots we were just talking about. And that human diversity is perfectly matched by its natural world. I mean, just look at these numbers. They're mind-blowing. Brazil is #1 in the world for plant species, freshwater fish, and mammals. It's not even close. It is the most biodiverse country on the planet, hands down. And since it's home to over half the Amazon rainforest, what happens there? Well, it matters to all of us. But it's not all about rainforests and wildlife. Brazil is an absolute economic powerhouse. So let's talk about the engine that really drives the Southern Hemisphere. Get this, if you measure an economy by what people can actually buy with their money, a thing called purchasing power parity, Brazil clocks in at #8 in the world. This is a serious global player. A huge part of that power comes from agriculture. Think about your morning coffee. For a century and a half, 150 years, Brazil has been the world's #1 coffee producer. Same goes for stuff like soybeans and sugarcane. But, you know, being so reliant on commodities, that can be a roller coaster with big booms and big busts. It's a cycle they're still working through. Okay, but here's a fact that might blow your mind. Brazil isn't just about coffee beans and sugar. It's the world's 3rd largest producer of airplanes. Yeah, airplanes. A company called Embraer is right up there with Boeing and Airbus. That just goes to show you there's a really sophisticated, high-tech side to their economy too. And when you look at its own backyard in Latin America, it's not even a competition. Brazil is the undisputed heavyweight champion. It's the biggest economy by a long shot, and it pretty much sets the tone for the entire region. So that brings us to today. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because for all of its power and potential, Brazil is a giant standing at a major crossroads, facing some equally giant challenges. And this right here, this sums up the core conflict perfectly. On one hand, you've got these incredible natural resources. On the other hand, you have massive deforestation. You've got this huge, diverse economy, but at the same time, you have staggering inequality, where you can literally see a luxury high-rise next to a sprawling shantytown. It has this culture that the whole world loves, but its politics can be incredibly unstable and polarized. This constant push and pull, that's modern Brazil in a nutshell. So, look, there's no doubt that Brazil is a giant on the world stage. That's a fact. The real question, the one that will define this century, is what kind of giant will it choose to be?
Will it finally manage to harness all that amazing potential to solve its biggest problems, or will those problems keep holding it back? That's the big question, and honestly, the whole world is watching to see the answer.